Use my language, but to that I say ICE and the Trump administration.
So apparently this Chinese student right here cursed out Trump during her speech at her graduation, and then Trump revoked all of the Chinese students' visas after she did this. Let's see what's going on, man. Like, comment, subscribe, especially if you new. And man, let's see what's going on.
Use my language, but to that I say ICE and the Trump administration.
Recently, Chinese students abroad have been in the spotlight. At the University of California, Los Angeles, student Jamie Han made headlines after cursing out ICE and the Trump administration during her graduation speech. The crude language—
And was that really cursing out? Like, that wasn't really cursing out.
—which she used was intense, and it was clear she was speaking with genuine emotion and anger. Her outburst quickly made her famous. Some people online speculated she might have thought this would earn her favor with the communist sympathizers in the US or the Chinese government's representatives. She seemingly didn't realize the trouble she was causing, as no country welcomes students who curse out its law enforcement agencies or its president, especially in the US today. While insulting ICE or even the president isn't technically illegal, it's bound to alert the US government and citizens.
Facts.
Some commentators asked if the US should continue to nurture people who harbor such anti-American sentiments. The comment section on social media exploded, with Chinese users suggesting that this woman perfectly exemplifies the phrase, being the bravest person in the safest place. Some pointed out that she shares one thing in common with both China and the US. She dares to insult the government, but in her case, it's always the US government. Others noted that UCLA has almost become an overseas branch of the Chinese Communist Party, judging by the expressions of the board members behind her. So it's not surprising.
I'm gonna say, because they was back there, yes, they was back there agreeing with her. I ain't gonna lie. They did. If you gonna nah, I ain't gonna say that.
Jamie Han, a first-generation immigrant, claimed that she has obtained U.S. citizenship, which is why she wasn't afraid to speak out in this way. However, American commentators seem to have a different opinion. One U.S. social media user, Paul A. Zipula, called Han a U.S.-born Chinese actress, but accused her of being consumed by hatred. He stated she wants to see the country destroyed by illegal immigrants, and suggested she be deported back to China. Han is a Chinese-American actress with a degree in hating America. She wants our country to be ruined by illegals. Deport her back to China. Many American commentators noted, as long as the alumni are happy to contribute to her deportation. Xi Jinping, come get this idiot. She's all yours. Any project this anti-American loser is in should be boycotted. It's time to be aware of whose America's enemies are and act appropriately. Imagine this girl cursing out the Chinese government at a ceremony in China. She would then pray to be in America for her freedom of speech. Don't forget the smug, self-righteous assholes behind—
Hey, Twitter be getting people right, boy. Twitter is literally like the dark web. Like, it ain't nothing you can't do or find or see on Twitter, bro. Like, and I know these are some of the more tamed answers they was able to put on YouTube.
Her nodding and smirking.
Oh, bro.
They facilitate the anti-American indoctrination from
Wow.
elementary school onward. Analysis suggests that Han, who claims to be a first-generation immigrant, was actually born in China. Her parents are likely to be local Communist Party officials or business people. Her words and actions hint at her family's background. California is home to many Chinese international students, and her performance seems to capitalize on the U.S. government's policy of canceling many Chinese students' visas. She presents herself as a voice for Chinese students, but it appears that her true motivation is to gain fame. She seems to think that having U.S. citizenship gives her the right to act however she pleases, which only exposes her ignorance. Her actions not only jeopardize her own future, but also risk ruining the dreams of many other young people. Chinese international students are already discriminated against because of their association with the Chinese Communist Party, and her influence could make their situation even worse. For Chinese students who have yet to set foot on U.S. soil, her performance is harmful. Rather than helping, she's actually causing them harm. Starting in mid-May 2025, Chinese students applying for U.S. visas began noticing irregularities in the appointment process. Educational consultants and visa agencies observed that although the U.S. had not officially announced suspending F1 visa issuances, several embassy systems experienced issues, like cleared appointment schedules and closed appointment functions, with some regions unable to select new dates for appointments. In late May, several U.S. embassies in China suspended F1 visa appointments, sparking widespread speculation about a complete suspension of visa issuances. Although the U.S. government did not officially announce a ban, several language schools and universities received notifications of dynamic scheduling adjustments, and some applicants received emails stating that their cases were temporarily suspended. At the same time, U.S. lawmakers and high-level officials sent signals indicating that the scrutiny of Chinese students would increase, especially those with backgrounds in sensitive fields like artificial intelligence, semiconductors, and aerospace. Some proposals also mentioned an immediate revocation mechanism, which caused significant anxiety among Chinese students in the U.S. On May 28th, Secretary of State Marco Rubio announced that
because it's like I see what they trying to do, because it's like you speaking out, you a Chinese-born person, and now you want to obtain citizenship over here, and you got all this education, you learn all this stuff, and now you speaking out against the government that you ran to or came to, and now they like, all right, we don't know what you trying to do. Like, you got a lot of ties to the Chinese, like I said, Communist Party, so now it's like, they trying to restrict them from like getting in, or they're what they say, looking into people who work close with AI and basically space and all that other stuff. I don't know the exact words they use, but I can see where they coming from for that. Is it right? It depends on who you asking, but I can kind of see where they coming from in that. It's crazy, but I can see where they coming from.
The U.S. would begin actively revoking visas for Chinese students, focusing on individuals linked to the Chinese Communist Party or studying in key areas. Rubio added that the U.S. would strengthen security checks on all future visa applications from the People's Republic of China and Hong Kong. On May 30th, President Trump responded to reporters' questions, stating that the students would be fine and everything would work out. On June 18th, the U.S. State Department announced that it had resumed F, M, and J visa applications for international students. However, all applicants must now disclose their social media accounts for content review. The new policy applies to all social platforms, including WeChat, Weibo, and TikTok. Visa officers will focus on screening for any statements that oppose the U.S. government, culture, or institutions. Privacy settings labeled as friends only will be considered suspicious behavior. A U.S. Study Abroad Service website with ties to the Chinese Communist Party conducted a detailed analysis and published an article stating that the resumption of visa applications does not mean a relaxation of policies. Instead, it signals an upgrade in the U.S.'s value-based review in higher education. For example, Harvard University faced a freeze of $2.6 billion in federal funding due to its involvement in campus protests supporting terrorists, and international student admissions are also facing restrictions. In the past, the approval of an F1 student visa was seen as granting a formal permit to study in the U.S. However, under tightening rhetoric from the U.S. State Department, there have been instances where even valid F1 visa approvals did not guarantee entry. In some cases, students were told that their visas were void. It also outlined 5 groups of people who are likely to be severely affected. 1. Chinese graduate students and doctoral students in the STEM fields. Technology majors are now considered a highly sensitive area. Under the current climate of heightened scrutiny, graduate and doctoral students from China in STEM, in science, technology, engineering, and mathematics fields are explicitly classified as high-risk individuals. The U.S. Department of Homeland Security and the State Department have prioritized certain fields, including artificial intelligence, semiconductor and chip engineering, aerospace, quantum computing, and nuclear physics. These fields often intersect with national security or advanced military technology, making them highly sensitive. Notably, many of these students come from 211, 985 project universities or participate in major national science and technology projects, leading to complex backgrounds. Even if they're not directly involved in sensitive projects, if their application involves high-tech, military-civil integration, or dual-use research, they may be asked to submit additional materials, undergo administrative review, or even face visa denial or revocation. 2. Chinese university students with military cooperation backgrounds. The U.S. government is intensifying background checks on students from universities with military industrial ties. Schools like Tsinghua University, the Chinese Academy of Sciences System, the Beijing University of Aeronautics.
Hey, y'all let me know. Do y'all think this is right or wrong? Y'all let me know what y'all think in the comment section. Everything they saying, let me know if y'all think this is right or wrong.
And astronautics. Harbin Institute of Technology and Beijing Institute of Technology, which are also known as the Seven Sons of National Defense, along with their affiliated research institutions. These schools have long-term research cooperation with China's defense industry giants, such as China Aerospace Corporation, China Shipbuilding Industry Corporation, and China National Nuclear Corporation. Even if students apply for non-military majors, simply having attended these schools or having collaborated with them, or having collaborated with sensitive professors, can lead to automatic flags by the U.S. embassy systems, causing delayed processing or direct visa denials. 3. Applicants for language schools and short-term programs. I-20 activation mechanism frozen. Unlike STEM students, applicants for language courses and short-term research programs were originally considered low-sensitivity groups. However, with the recent freeze on visa appointments, this group has also been affected. Additionally, as language programs are typically study upon visa application, with frequent course rotations, a delay of 2 to 3 weeks in visa processing can severely impact the start date, even rendering the I-20 invalid and the admission void. 4. International students in the U.S. Tightening of visa policies does not only affect new applicants, but also impacts international students already studying in the U.S. Some students have reported delays in I-20 updates and identity verification alerts from their schools, especially in applications for optional practical training or curricular practical training. An increasing number of cases show longer approval cycles, more requests for additional documentation, and even rejections. Moreover, if students leave the U.S. and return to their home country,
especially with Trump being president, bro, I know they overly up in security in every way they can.
Risk of not being allowed back into the U.S. increases. Customs and Border Protection has the authority to temporarily revoke a visa or deny entry based on system flags, and many schools have advised students to avoid unnecessary travel. 5. Potential expansion targets. Applicants from other developing countries in technical fields may follow suit. Currently, China is the main focus, but U.S. national security strategy increasingly uses a dual screening system based on country of origin plus major field of study. If visa policies are further tightened, it is possible that students from other countries, particularly those listed on the U.S. technology restriction list, could be affected. For example, applicants from countries like Russia in aerospace, Iran in nuclear engineering, and North Korea in information security could also face similar restrictions. The U.S. may adopt the same screening model used for China and apply it to other nations. Some analysts have noted that the website has ties to the Chinese Communist Party, but the situation described is largely accurate. The site offers strategies to various Chinese students trying to enter the U.S., though it does not address the real reasons behind the tightening of U.S. visa policies or other possible solutions. The day after Secretary of State Marco Rubio's remarks, State Department spokesperson Tammy Bruce stated at a press conference, "The U.S. will not tolerate the CCP's exploitation of U.S. universities or theft of U.S. research intellectual property or technologies to grow its military power, conduct intelligence collection, or repress voices of opposition." Rubio's statement specifically mentioned revoking visas for students linked to the Chinese Communist Party or studying in key fields. But how are these key fields defined? Bruce declined to discuss the specifics of the policy, merely stating, "When we think of key fields, which is obviously a very specific term, we first think of national security." Earlier, the FBI warned on its website that the Chinese Communist Party is using graduate students and postdoctoral researchers in fields like engineering, science, and mathematics as non-traditional collectors of intellectual property. A report from the U.S. Science and Mathematics.
This a dude they always got on Twitter trying to act like he working against the U.S. on the low. I forgot what he is. I forgot what his exact title is. But bro, that is so racist. They always acting like he low key on like some other time and like he trying to get some little information or something and then get rid of the U.S. or something.
Right. As non-traditional collectors of intellectual property. A report from the U.S. Intellectual Property Theft Commission revealed that Chinese theft activities have caused the U.S.
And that's the only way I know him.
$600 billion in economic losses.
That's the crazy part.
Believes that it is currently unclear exactly which groups the U.S. is referring to. However, previous incidents have revealed that some students in advanced technical fields, as well as so-called scholars, have concealed their ties to the CCP and even hidden their Chinese military backgrounds, only to steal technology once in the U.S. Some Chinese international students, despite coming to a free country, have still become accomplices in the CCP's crackdown on freedom of speech. Zheng Chunzu stated, "We know there are many people, so-called little pinks or old pinks, who participate in harassing overseas dissidents and threatening pro-democracy activists. For example, during pro-democracy or religious group events in Los Angeles, Zheng found many pro-CCP individuals who were actively disrupting and sabotaging the gatherings. Many Chinese students have joined pro-CCP student associations and other organizations, spreading communist propaganda under the guise of studying abroad while participating in CCP activities in the U.S. Some even work as agents or spies for the CCP, collecting personal information on dissidents and spiritual groups, and in some cases, stalking, insulting, or threatening others." Zheng added, "As the CCP expands its United Front operations overseas, infiltrates foreign countries, and suppresses dissent, many Chinese people may not realize the extent of the CCP's surveillance on overseas individuals. Even some parents are unaware that their children are working on behalf of the CCP in the U.S. In this context, it is absolutely necessary for the U.S. to conduct strict scrutiny of student visas and backgrounds." According to the U.S. Department of State, the CCP monitors Chinese international students and mobilizes them through organizations like the Chinese Students and Scholars Associations, CSSAs. Some CSSA branches in the United States have openly acknowledged receiving guidance, support, or funding from CCP consulates. These students have attempted to forcefully cancel events or speeches hosted by overseas dissenting groups, including activities held by practitioners of persecuted spiritual group Falun Gong. Data shows that there are approximately 277,000 Chinese international students in the U.S., with over 50,000 in California alone. Zheng Chunzu believes that the U.S. will not arbitrarily revoke all student visas. Those who are completely unconnected to the CCP, who follow U.S. laws and uphold freedom of speech and belief, and those who truly come to the U.S. to broaden their horizons need not be overly pessimistic. If they do not fall into this category, however, they should consider their future options. He said, "Since you've come to study in the U.S., you should engage in independent thinking and judgment. Even if you're not brave enough to stand up like those dissidents, at least you shouldn't become an accomplice to the CCP. The U.S. does not have a one-size-fits-all approach. It doesn't mean that all students from China will be denied visas or have their visas revoked. It is case by case, depending on the behavior of each individual." Tammy Bruce also mentioned at the press conference that a visa is not a right, but a privilege. She added, every visa adjudication is a national security decision, every single one of them. She further emphasized that both parents and students should be clear that the purpose of studying in the U.S. is to acquire skills, receive a better education, improve future life and career prospects, and fulfill dreams, not for any political purposes or radical ideas. In the early years, U.S. immigration laws explicitly prohibited Communist Party members from immigrating to the U.S. Although some regulations were adjusted after the Cold War, the law still states that anyone associated with the Communist Party or any totalitarian organization would be denied entry. This includes any branches or affiliated organizations linked to the Communist Party. The U.S. Citizen and Immigration Services, USCIS, also wrote on social media, if a foreigner violates the law, both their green cards and visas can be revoked. Some netizens have suggested that Jamie Han's performance might actually be helping the U.S., as the U.S. government will likely become more vigilant. They questioned how to handle such anti-American individuals who show their true colors once they gain U.S. citizenship.
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie, that is true. I think that did help them kind of tighten up stuff, kind of take an even deeper look into people. Whether this is a good thing or a bad thing, I don't know. I want y'all to let me know in the comment section. A lot of this stuff I'm learning, like I didn't even realize it got this deep. Like students come there and they low key there to spy and get information and take it back. I know what I'm saying. I never knew this. So I'm gonna start trying to watch some more of this content, so I could just learn more for myself. Learn more about what's going on in the country. So if y'all want to be on that journey with me, subscribe to the channel, leave a like, and let me know in the comment section what y'all think about a lot of stuff they was saying. Do y'all think these things are morally right or morally wrong?
I'm a fault with.
Let's take a nap, sipping on my cup, slide in the traffic, riding in traffic, waiting on the traffic.